Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A duty that you are assigned to perform, especially in the armed forces. The act of distributing something to designated places or persons. The first task is the assignment of an address to each datum. The act of putting a person into a non-elective position. Law. A transfer of property by deed of conveyance. An undertaking that you have been assigned to do, as by an instructor. The instrument by which a claim or right or interest or property is transferred from one person to another. A duty that you are assigned to perform, especially in the armed forces. The act of distributing something to designated places or persons. The act of putting a person into a non-elective position. The appointment had to be approved by the whole committee. Usually in the plural, furnishings and equipment, especially for a ship or hotel. A person who is appointed to a job or position. A meeting arranged in advance. Law. The act of disposing of property by virtue of the power of appointment. She allocated part of the trust to her church by appointment. The job to which you were, or hope to be, appointed. He applied for an appointment in the Treasury. Identifying word or words by which someone or something is called and classified or distinguished from others. The act of designating or identifying something. The act of putting a person into a non-elective position. The act of putting a person into a non-elective position. Inclined to or serving for the giving of names. The verbal act of naming. The part he failed was the naming of state capitals. 18th President of the United States, Commander of the Union Armies in the American Civil War, 1822 to 1885. Give as judged due or on the basis of merit. Funds are granted to qualified researchers. The act of providing a subsidy. Let have. Grant permission. Law. A transfer of property by deed of conveyance. Scottish painter. Cousin of Lytton Strachey and member of the Bloomsbury Group, 1885 to 1978. Bestow, especially officially. Grant a degree. A contract granting the right to operate a subsidiary business. Give over. Surrender or relinquish to the physical control of another. Be willing to concede. I grant you this much. Allow to have. Grant a privilege. United States actor, born in England, who was the elegant leading man in many films, 1904 to 1986. Transfer by deed. Grant land. Any monetary aid. A right or privilege that has been granted. The social force that binds you to the courses of action demanded by that force. We must instill a sense of duty in our children. A government tax on imports or exports. Work that you are obliged to perform for moral or legal reasons. Statistics. An arrangement of values of a variable showing their observed or theoretical frequency of occurrence. The spatial or geographic property of being scattered about over a range, area, or volume. Worldwide in distribution. The act of distributing or spreading or apportioning. The commercial activity of transporting and selling goods from a producer to a consumer. The act of making up your mind about something. A position or opinion or judgment reached after consideration. Satisfied with the panel's determination. The quality of being determined to do or achieve something. Firmness of purpose. His determination showed in his every movement. The act of determining the properties of something, usually by research or calculation. The determination of molecular structures. Deciding or controlling something's outcome or nature. The determination of grammatical inflections. The act of making up your mind about something. The burden of decision was his. A position or opinion or judgment reached after consideration. A decision unfavorable to the opposition. The trait of resoluteness as evidenced by firmness of character or purpose. Boxing. A victory won on points when no knockout has occurred. Had little trouble in taking a unanimous decision over his opponent. The outcome of a game or contest. The team dropped 3 decisions in a row. Event whose occurrence ends something. The proposition arrived at by logical reasoning, such as the proposition that must follow from the major and minor premises of a syllogism. The act of making up your mind about something. He drew his conclusions quickly. A position or opinion or judgment reached after consideration. His conclusion took the evidence into account. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. In conclusion, I want to say. The temporal end, the concluding time. A final settlement. The conclusion of a business deal. An intuitive assumption. Jump to a conclusion. A possession whose ownership changes or lapses. A possession whose ownership changes or lapses. A specific piece of work required to be done as a duty or for a specific fee. The endless task of classifying the samples. Any piece of work that is undertaken or attempted. Use to the limit. Assign a task to. I tasked him with looking after the children. Any piece of work that is undertaken or attempted. He prepared for great undertakings. The trade of a funeral director. Any piece of work that is undertaken or attempted. Extend out or project in space. Make or work out a plan for, devise. Put or send forth. A planned undertaking. Imagine, conceive of, see in one's mind. Present for consideration, examination, criticism, etc. The candidate projects himself as a moderate and a reformer. Regard as objective. Throw, send, or cast forward. Project a missile. Cause to be heard. His voice projects well. Communicate vividly. He projected his feelings. Draw a projection of. Project on a screen. The images are projected onto the screen. Transfer, ideas or principles, from one domain into another. A social class comprising those who do manual labor or work for wages. There is a shortage of skilled labor in this field. Any piece of work that is undertaken or attempted. The federal department responsible for promoting the working conditions of wage earners in the United States, created in 1913. Concluding state of pregnancy. From the onset of contractions to the birth of a child. She was in labor for 6 hours. An organized attempt by workers to improve their status by united action, particularly via labor unions, or the leaders of this movement. Strive and make an effort to reach a goal. A political party formed in Great Britain in 1900, characterized by the promotion of labor's interests and formerly the socialization of key industries. Productive work, especially physical work done for wages. His labor did not require a great deal of skill. Work hard. Undergo the efforts of childbirth. Law. A document that states some contractual relationship or grants some right. Write an instrumental score for any of various devices or contrivances that can be used to produce musical tones or sounds. The means whereby some act is accomplished. My greed was the instrument of my destruction. A person used by another to gain an end. Law. A document that states some contractual relationship or grants some right. The semantic role of the entity, usually inanimate, that the agent uses to perform an action or start a process. Address a legal document to. A device that requires skill for proper use. Equip with instruments for measuring, recording, or controlling. Law. A document that states some contractual relationship or grants some right. Law. A document that states some contractual relationship or grants some right. A group of representatives or delegates. An organization of missionaries in a foreign land sent to carry on religious work. An operation that is assigned by a higher headquarters. The planes were on a bombing mission. The organized work of a religious missionary. A special assignment that is given to a person or group. A confidential mission to London. Exhaust or get tired through overuse or great strain or stress. Lose interest or become bored with something or somebody. Labor of a non-military kind done by soldiers, cleaning or digging or draining or so on. The soldiers were put on fatigue to teach them a lesson. Temporary loss of strength and energy resulting from hard physical or mental work. He was hospitalized for extreme fatigue. Always used with a modifier, boredom resulting from overexposure to something. He was suffering from museum fatigue. Used of materials, especially metals, in a weakened state caused by long stress. Metal fatigue. Labor of a non-military kind done by soldiers, cleaning or digging or draining or so on. A device designed to prevent injury or accidents. The duty of serving as a sentry. He was on guard that night. A precautionary measure warding off impending danger or damage or injury, etc. An insurance policy as a good safeguard. Watch over or shield from danger or harm, protect. Guard my possessions while I'm away. Protect against a challenge or attack. American football. A position on the line of scrimmage. Guards must be good blockers. A military unit serving to protect some place or person. A person who keeps watch over something or someone. A position on a basketball team. A posture of defense in boxing or fencing. Keep your guard up. Take precautions in order to avoid some unwanted consequence. Guard against becoming too friendly with the staff. The person who plays that position on a football team. The left guard was injured on the play. The person who plays the position of guard on a basketball team. To keep watch over. There would be men guarding the horses. The duty of serving as a sentry. Criminal law. A pleading describing some wrong or offense. He was arrested on a charge of larceny. Move quickly and violently. A quantity of explosive to be set off at one time. This cartridge has a powder charge of 50 grains. The quantity of unbalanced electricity in a body, either positive or negative, and construed as an excess or deficiency of electrons. The battery needed a fresh charge. Cause to be agitated, excited, or roused. The speaker charged up the crowd with his inflammatory remarks. Psychoanalysis. The libidinal energy invested in some idea or person or object. Freud thought of cathexis as a psychic analog of an electrical charge. Demand payment. Will I get charged for this service? Direct into a position for use. He charged his weapon at me. Blame for. Make a claim of wrongdoing or misbehavior against. He charged the director with indifference. Request for payment of a debt. They submitted their charges at the end of each month. Cause to be admitted. Of persons to an institution. File a formal charge against. The suspect was charged with murdering his wife. To make a rush at or sudden attack upon, as in battle. Give over to another for care or safekeeping. Provide, a device, with something necessary. Attention and management implying responsibility for safety. A special assignment that is given to a person or group. His charge was deliver a message. Heraldry consisting of a design or image depicted on a shield. A formal statement of a command or injunction to do something. The judge's charge to the jury. Attribute responsibility to. The tragedy was charged to her inexperience. An assertion that someone is guilty of a fault or offense. The newspaper published charges that Jones was guilty of drunken driving. The swift release of a store of effective force. Impose a task upon, assign a responsibility to. He charged her with cleaning up all the files over the weekend. Assign a duty, responsibility or obligation to. She was charged with supervising the creation of a concordance. An impetuous rush toward someone or something. The wrestler's charge carried him past his adversary. A person committed to your care. The teacher led her charges across the street. Cause formation of a net electrical charge in or on. Charge a conductor. Energize a battery by passing a current through it in the direction opposite to discharge. I need to charge my car battery. Enter a certain amount as a charge. He charged me $15. Fill or load to capacity. Charge the wagon with hay. Financial liabilities, such as a tax. The charges against the estate. Instruct a jury about the law, its application, and the weighing of evidence. Instruct or command with authority. The teacher charged the children to memorize the poem. Lie down on command, of hunting dogs. Make an accusatory claim. The defense attorney charged that the jurors were biased. Pay with a credit card. Pay with plastic money. Postpone payment by recording a purchase as a debt. Will you pay cash or charge the purchase? Place a heraldic bearing on. Charge all weapons, shields, and banners. Saturate. The room was charged with tension and anxiety. Set or ask for a certain price. How much do you charge for lunch? The price charged for some article or service. The admission charge. Naval service at land bases. Naval service aboard a ship at sea. A group of representatives or delegates. An official document issued by a government and conferring on the recipient the rank of an officer in the armed forces. A special group delegated to consider some matter. The act of granting authority to undertake certain functions. The act of committing a crime. A special assignment that is given to a person or group. A formal statement of a command or injunction to do something. A fee for services rendered based on a percentage of an amount received or collected or agreed to be paid, as distinguished from a salary. He works on commission. Charge with a task. Place an order for. Put into commission. Equip for service, of ships. The state of being in good working order and ready for operation. Put the ships into commission.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.